the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game. 5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Van, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as the valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark. Got the scoop, faster than a sprint, calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders, he's got the spark. Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark.
Hey, excuse me. Good morning. It is Monday. Hot damn. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Monday indeed. Hit us up on the Professional Door text line 391-0788 or in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room here from our Family Fencing Studios in Reiner. Monday indeed. There we go. How's everybody doing? Hope you had a good weekend. Morning, Stephen. Good morning, Prometheus. Good morning, Fire. Stick around, subscribe, like, and share. Coach Elmo joins us at 7, Todd Grantham at 8. Nice to get a coach's perspective on a Monday. And I hope everybody had a good weekend. We had really nice weather Saturday and Sunday. and I think it's supposed to be pretty hot this week. Yeah, we got at least the first half. We got 80s, and then we got a bunch of rain chances Thursday through, a while. But we'll see how it all plays out. We'll see how it all plays out here on our Reaction Monday edition of the program. There's some interesting stats that talking about how much universities are losing. We're going to get into that a little bit. And we're not even talking about athletic departments anymore, but I think it's going to be, I had posted something on the Facebook page a couple of weeks ago and talked about it here. We saw where Oregon's cutting, not rehiring 100 positions, trying to save, I don't know how many millions. Some of these numbers are pretty telling. So we'll talk about that and what's going to happen. I would say at this point, not if, but when it happens here in the Commonwealth with Virginia Tech and Virginia and other schools here in the Commonwealth. I don't know. I was supposed to do a test run this morning with Coach Elmo, and my studio was rebooting, and it took until literally about 5 minutes before the show, before it came back up. So I did not get a chance to send Coach Elmo an invite. It was frustrating. I got in here and the thing, there are updates that need to be, or there are updates that need to be downloaded right now. And I thought, okay, this is usually about a 3 to 5 minute thing. And it ended up being a 25-minute thing. I'm like, geez, leash. But hey, we're here. So we'll get into some of that. Another disappointing end. Boy, Tech softball, what a whimper, huh? I guess I was wrong. That was a team that looked like to me they had a chance to go and play for a while in this tournament. But, the whole thing was just weird. They get what I thought going in, I thought they were underseeded. And NCAA put out they didn't have Tech in their top whatever. And then we found out that they didn't get to host because of hotels. Then they get shipped down to Baton Rouge. As a matter of fact, I think all 4 ACC teams got eliminated yesterday. They beat South Alabama, who got eliminated first in that region, and then they were down inexplicably to Akron. They had to score 6 runs in the 7th to beat Akron just to survive. And then they were no match for LSU. So I was surprised. Not that I know LSU is good. They're really good. But I thought that would be a situation where they could at least win that and go to a super regional. But that's not the case. So I think that, considering the regular season, I think that was a disappointing finish, to say the least, for Pete Demore. I see everybody, this is what continues to – people just don't want to look at the way things are. I kept seeing all of these not in the mood for bots this morning. Well, they're young. They'll be back. I'm like, let's stop assuming that rosters are going to be intact year to year in college athletics. Can we just stop? Can you just update the way you think, please? Well, they've got all these freshmen. I know they do, but that doesn't mean anything. Hopefully they can keep them. Hopefully they can. Good morning, Morris. How are you? From Coach Elmo's stories to Coach Grantham's schemes, hopefully Rick will ask some questions that have us busting at the seams. You, Rhymesmith, you. See how I use Rhymesmith? Had a lot of people buzzing about Jen's appearance. People really liked that. That was great, wasn't it? Jen going through the Bellagio. Is that where she was? Wherever she was. Anyway, and she was, if you follow her on Instagram, you have to get, like, she sends stuff that she posts. Venetian, thank you. She has stuff that she posts, and then she has stuff that are private posts, nothing racy. But and looking at her trip from Vegas, it was fun, man. She had a good time, a really good time, and we'll try to talk to her about that on Friday when we have her back. I need to let Coach Elmo know. Yeah, I guess I did not even text him. He's, still in the mindset of a coach. And he ended up getting a new computer. So we were going to test that this morning. And I was right. It was his drive. His whole drive of the other one that he bought was completely shot. Utterly, completely shot. So he got a new one, and I was going to test this morning, and then my studio was still updating. Technology is a wonderful thing. Finished the first season of a Landman over the weekend. I know there's another season, I think. Is that right? I like it. Some stuff on it I don't like, but for the most part, I like it. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Oh, there's Coach. Right. Yeah, we're going to try his computer first. Yeah. Yep. Got a new computer, so hopefully it'll work out. The PGA Championship apparently was over the weekend, as we talked about. I mean, look, I can't even remember the guy's name. I'll say it wrong. I don't even know what his name is. If somebody heard it, Aaron Ray. He's from Sweden. He won it. The only name I even recognize is John Rahm in the top 5. So this is what I was talking about with golf. You have the Masters, and then you have everything else, right? I mean, did anybody even know? Prometheus, I think he's going to do that for us this morning, by the way. I'm pretty sure. Prometheus, Coach is going to let us know about Bork today. So I think he's already on that. So we'll see. So did anybody watch the PGA? That's what I'm talking about. When they did the whole live crap, nobody was watching the PGA. Oh, really? War was the opening band for J.J. Gray Saturday at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. Yeah, I do remember War. Why can't we be friends? Really? Well, I'm glad to hear enough of them still around to still get on stage. That's encouraging. I don't mean that facetiously. I just mean pretty cool. And then this, by the way, people are calling it a faux pas because they made 2, but then someone checked and they did not. Did you see this? This is making the rounds. This was on Saturday. So yesterday in the NBA playoffs, There was a Game 7 between Cleveland and Detroit. So apparently people who were watching ABC Sports late Saturday saw that they ran a promo on Saturday night previewing an Eastern Conference Finals matchup between the Knicks and the Cavaliers. They ran it again, apparently, and I didn't see any of this because I'm not watching any of this crap. But apparently, again, they ran it in the first half of Game 7. Well, the Cavaliers won 125-94. So now people are speculating, whoa, did somebody hit the wrong button? You know, usually you have the Knicks await the winner of Game 7, and they show either and or. This was like a highlight. I see the promo. I'm watching it, and it shows the Cavaliers players making plays going up against the Knicks. The game had not been played. There are people saying, well, they make 2 promos. Well, nobody was running them showing Detroit. And I don't know what's truth. I don't know what's fiction. But in a league that's already got a massive credibility issues because of the gambling scandal that hit right before the season, because of how bad the product is, the officiating, the flopping, the terrible basketball, and now you have a promo that airs before the conclusion of a game twice. Now, nobody will talk about it. ESPN certainly won't, but that's weird to me. The fact that it happened twice tells me that that's strange. Did somebody upload it in? So those things work on, if you're in a TV studio, they work on a computer. They have little cues like I do here, not at that level, but you just hit the button and then it runs whatever promo has been uploaded into that, that key on the computer screen. And people took notice, man. Strange. So that happened over the weekend. But it doesn't surprise me because it's the NBA. Doesn't surprise me at all. I got a Game 7 tonight between the Sabres and Montreal Canadiens. You watch the hockey playoffs, and then you try to watch the NBA playoffs, and you understand why the hockey players get so much respect as opposed to what's going on in the NBA. I think the biggest thing when you do watch some of the NBA playoffs, there's no stakes. Guys are not. When you watched during the 90s and even the early 2000s, there were stakes. Guys were, the last thing they thought about was not being able to play. They didn't want to lose, right? Winning the title meant everything. I don't know how much it means anymore to this new era of player. I just don't know. I don't get the sense, because we talk about in college sports a lot, and I hear it from basketball coaches all over the country that we interview, we play division, power schools, all the way down to mid-majors. Kids will go out and maybe go 2 for 23 from the field. You'll lose a game by 20, and they're sitting there with their earbuds in after the game talking about what they're going to go do, or it just doesn't bother them from one to the next. This isn't true all the way across the board, but it just doesn't bother them. Just kind of shrug it off. Okay, well, we'll get the next one. Not that big a deal, right? And I think when you have that, and that's the era you come up in, you don't just lose that all of a sudden, especially now that you're making millions and millions and millions of dollars. Feels weird, man. And I know the NBA has horrible leadership, and it's run by its political biases, but I think the biggest problem is the players themselves. I just don't think there's that desire, because they have the lifestyle. Is that true, Matthew? So Anthony Edwards of Minnesota was congratulating the Spurs with 8 minutes left. Really? See, you imagine during the Bird, Magic, Jordan, Kareem, even Shaq, Kobe era, somebody just going up and saying, hey, man, great, good job, good job. I'm not saying be unsportsmanlike and accept the fact you got beat, but with 8 minutes to go, really? There are no stakes to the NBA. There aren't any. And there are no repercussions for anything they do, apparently. And maybe they did make 2 promos. Maybe they did. But why would you air the one with Cleveland twice? I'm telling you, folks, I'm sorry. I've just gotten to this point now. I'm not sure the stuff that we watch is legitimate. It may have just completely morphed into sports entertainment before our eyes. And we just haven't recognized it yet. We talk about it in the NFL all the time with the officiating and the calls that are made and how things seem to not be on the up and up. Posted a thing on Facebook last week going into the weekend. 300 more gambling cases in college athletics. 300 were revealed. That's just the ones that are revealed. So again, I asked, how much of your own money are you going to continue to invest in all this? That's exactly right, Anthony. This is what happens when you give the players all this money. They haven't done anything. Don't have to earn anything. It's entitlement. It's like it is throughout college athletics. It's entitlement now. What are you going to pay me? I'll come to your school. What am I going to get? And they don't lose that. Yeah, even if it is legit, even if you throw it out of the way, that's right, man. Even if you scrape all that away and it is real, it just sucks. It's just not good. It's not good. But your eyes don't lie to you. And your instincts, all of us growing up around sports, playing it, watching it, being a part of it, being a fan of it now in our later years, we know what it's supposed to look like. I think there's still this mindset, kind of like the people who are running the news agencies and politicians who think people are stupid. I think that's what they're doing now with some of this stuff, right? Good morning, Chris. How are you doing? They just think people are stupid. That's what they do. They just think people, and I guess because they do, they eat it up, especially on the political side. But we know, and I hate it when fans get completely dismissed on how they feel about things, because we're the ones that have paid for all this for how many years? Decades, century. Well, I don't want to say centuries, but lots of decades. But yet it seems like the fans, this is me and you, are the last ones ever considered or opinions matter in any way, shape, or form. And that's the target of all the creations of this whole entertainment realm in sports. I don't know how much of it's legitimate anymore. And maybe it was a mistake, right? Maybe they did make a Pistons-Knicks promo too, but they showed the one with Cleveland twice before the game. And then Cleveland destroys Detroit, who was at home. They beat them by like 30-something. Colleges are supposed to be where the smart people are. Well, let's get into that, because I thought this was equally troubling. Now, this is not something that directly relates to athletic departments, but maybe it does. So this is stuff that was revealed over the weekend, okay? And this is from a couple of business accounts monitoring, universities and things like that I follow on X. So these are legitimate things. This isn't just somebody randomly posting. So Clemson announced overall, this isn't athletics. I want to preface that by saying this isn't athletics. This is the whole university. Clemson is $1.5 billion in debt. Syracuse is closing or pausing 93 campus academic programs. UNC Chapel Hill plans to cut spending throughout the course of its whole university by $89 million over 3 years. Duke recently let 600 employees go within the school in a $350 million budget cut. Indiana, who just won the college football national championship, as a state, overall, their public colleges announced a plan to eliminate or merge nearly 600 programs statewide. The universities are going out of business. Now, we look at it strictly from the athletics side. Oregon was the first to announce this about a month ago. Not rehiring over 100 positions. And these schools, they're going out of business. The tuitions have gotten so ridiculous across the board, even for in-state students. Isn't it crazy to read those numbers? So we look at it from an athletics perspective. James Franklin's talking about how the new president's got to have football in mind. Well, I think the new tech president's got a lot more on his plate than worried about football. Because this is going to hit here, and we're going to hear reports like this soon, because I don't understand how there aren't more schools, and maybe there are. They just haven't released their numbers yet. So we'll see what happens here and these budget cuts and what they mean. Yeah, it does seem like the federal government a little bit, Prometheus. And maybe you're right. Maybe it was just over extension. Maybe they were giving out positions that didn't need to be there, spending, irresponsible spending. I'm sure there's a lot of that. Absolutely, 100%. But boy, for Clemson to announce it's $2.9 billion in debt, what are you borrowing from? I wonder what that entailed. And how much can athletics help? It can't, because athletics is trying to create enough dollars just to survive on its own as one of the arms of the university. Because I saw some of these posts. It's not just athletics draining this, but a lot of the answers from these guys who put this together are like, well, athletics has to worry about itself, right? That's why it's going to be more and more rare that when a guy like Whit Babcock goes to the board and says, hey, we need to, if we're going to compete in athletics, we need this money. That may be the last time that Virginia Tech's ever able to count on that kind of big sum coming in over an extended period of time. And I'm sure that's going to be the way it is at a lot of these power schools. But to Prometheus's point, this could just be a leveling off of spending. When you see so many jobs throughout the schools and maybe what they're paying for, I don't know. But that's very interesting to me to see these numbers now coming out in droves. I mean, if my son didn't have the high bulk of his tuition covered in scholarship, I couldn't put him through school. Can you? Nowadays, Some of these schools, out-of-state tuitions are six figures. Some of the in-state tuitions are so high. Now, how does that going to affect athletics? I don't know. Well, yeah, I do know. Athletics is going to go out of business just like some of these schools if they don't wrap their arms around it. So all this unlimited spending that seems to be free for all, let's just do it from the sports perspective. How can the universities continue to support that? Because they are still there as educational businesses, if you will. I don't know how else to put it. That's what they are. I mean, the universities are businesses. They're not just opening their doors because they want to provide humanity with their own brand of intelligence. They're trying to get people to pay money to come into their school to earn that education. I mean, we're at Radford, got a new president. The first thing that he wanted to do was get the tuition, get the enrollment back up to a certain number, right? So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, if you say the fish rots from the head, I say it all the time, and it's true. But the head of the snake is now bleeding badly. So if the head of the snake, which is the main campus and university, and the primary goal of these schools, if you are seeing these numbers released, it's only a matter of time before college athletics is going to be told no more. I think we're going to look back at this free run of kids coming in for millions of dollars out of the portal, coming out of high school, making millions of dollars. And we're going to look back on it as one of the stupidest eras that we've ever gone through, because nobody wants to be the first or to be controversial to try to bring common sense into it. Nobody wants to go back and examine why NIL turned into pay for play almost overnight. I would think somebody could look at the results of the Ed O'Bannon verdict, right? And say, okay, so this is how name, image, and likeness was defined. And I don't know enough about law. We have Ryan Pry, our attorney, Richie Davis, our legal counsel. I'm just a layman throwing this out there as a sports fan. But there were definitions of what national image and likeness were as a result of that trial that Ed O'Bannon sent all this in motion, that whole O'Bannon verdict. So why can't schools stand up and say, all right, you know what this is? These aren't kids earning any NIL. This is free agency in a place where our main business is no longer surviving, and yet we need to come up with upwards of $6 million to sign a freaking quarterback. Carson Beck last year, wasn't his reported salary between $5 and $6 million? And we just roll with the flow. Hey, that's the cost of doing business. We need more. Well, nothing is going to spur action more than when the money starts completely being evaporated into nothingness. Someone's going to have to sack up and say, can we use the actual wordage of the O'Bannon verdict and turn this thing back into what it was? I have zero problem with any kid coming out that can go out and absolutely create his or her own deals with whatever business they want, do whatever they need to make as much money as possible. But this whole thing of having a salary to come and play a damn sport, and in a lot of cases, only taking online classes, not even being part of the student body, I mean, it's not going to be around too much longer. There's no way the numbers are not going to add up long term for this just to be a continuous sieve of money going into this crap. It takes away our experience as fans, because now you got a kid out there making, I don't know, more money than you could probably add up 20 or 30 of us together. Whatever it might be. Manning getting $8 million. Is it really? Now see, and why? Arch Manning's already a millionaire by default. His dad's a freaking billionaire. Are they really paying him $8 million? So we're just told we have to accept it because that's the way that it is. Jay Pearson says we set a record. We just want more. We need more to compete. More. We're not going to tell you how much more, just more. And now universities are in danger of going out of business. And we all just shrug and we all just accept it. Because that's what we've now fallen into as sports fans. This is the way things are being done. Why do you think, like the AFCA met, they wanted to go from 12 to 24? Well, the ACC, the Big 12, Big 10 are going to jump into this full throttle. Now the SEC saying, whoa, 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 which is just crap. ESPN's the only people being, why ESPN's standing in the way? They don't want to share the postseason with any other networks, which is what would happen in a 2014 playoff. It's all about money. So the coaches want 24 teams because they want to try to create more revenue opportunities as they can because they don't foresee this happening. And Cooper isn't a millionaire. Oh, I guarantee you Cooper's a millionaire. Forget about Cooper. I don't think Cooper's hurting for money. That family's worth billions. I think they're fine. You think Cooper ever just sits around and he's just like, wow. All because we have to win, come hell or high water. Well, yeah, and to what end? I think this were a logic. If I were someone who had the means, which I clearly don't, but if I had the means and I was just worth, I don't know how many multi-7-figure millions you want to throw out there, and I had been able to donate high amounts. So at some point, wouldn't you sit back and reflect, to what end am I doing this? Is it going to really help my school win a national championship? There's only one of those every year in each sport. Is it worth the multi-million-dollar gift that I am giving to watch my team move up in the conference standings and maybe play in a conference title game? Is that my ROI on that? Is that, what do I get out of that? Is that enough? I mean, these are questions I think people have to ask. Is that enough for you when you donate? If Tech shows up in the top 3 of the ACC football standings, is that going to motivate you to donate more when you're going to be told they don't have nearly enough? Or whatever school it is you support? What is your expectation? What do you get out of that? I don't know. Yeah, that's probably true, Prometheus, but if they're already wealthy like that, they already have status in town, you know? Maybe it just gets them access to things during game days and they want to feel like, the CEOs that they are in their everyday life when they're watching a sporting event. Maybe they just can't separate themselves from that lifestyle. I don't know. It's interesting. But when you hear unsustainable throughout it all, it's no longer just pertaining to college athletics. It's now going up to the president's offices on all these campuses. And that's why you're going to see more and more athletics programs be completely siphoned away, no matter what it is. And we're going to start getting into bigger profile programs probably sooner than later. I mean, some of these schools have 25, 28 programs. Look at Stanford and Cal, which is still the stupidest, most illogical conference edition that's probably ever been created, joining the ACC. Now, I know we've talked ad nauseum about the travel costs and all that, but none of this was ever considered. None of it. We've had, at our level, and I'll just give you an example specifically, the Campbell Fighting Camels. They've been in and out of the Big South twice. Their football program started to have success early. They started one, they had some private funding. They felt like they could be on a fast path to being a high-profile FCS school. And then at some point, 10 years down the road, whatever, kind of pull what a James Madison or Old Dominion had done. Now, those schools have had football for a long time, and they've had to gradually build up to it. So Campbell left our league strictly for football because the Big South only now has, I think, Charleston Southern, Gardner-Webb, and Presbyterian. We only have 3 schools that play football, so they've had to combine with another mid-major league just to have one football conference, if you will. Well, now Campbell is losing money hand over fist. This is specifically from athletic, because I know a lot of people down there. They're former AD, they're broadcaster. And they are ruining the day they left the Big South, because now they travel all these different regions. They go up and down, southeast, out west, bouncing around with their football team. And they said they underestimated the costs of all the travel, the hotel, whatever it might be. They underestimated that over time by like $20 or $30 million. And they are in the red because they caved into the football temptation without thinking about all these things. They've tried to rush the process along. A lot of schools have done that when their football programs had success, because football's the key to success, right? Football's the trigger. Got to have football doing well. Well, that's true if you're a power school in particular. Campbell was never going to be part of a power conference. The best they could have ever done was rise at a G5 level at some point, and maybe 20 years down the line created themselves a scenario like James Madison had. But they didn't have leadership that understood that. They've had 2 new ADs since. right? Yeah, exactly, Anthony. Why do you think he left? The Campbell's head basketball. That's a great point. He left to become an assistant because they told him, by the way, you know that money? And this is exactly the way he explained it, Anthony. So he's a good coach. Exactly the way he explained it. It's exactly I was told how it happened. He was told, here's your budget. All right, cool. I'll be able to go out and get some players. They went to him right when all that started the week before and said, you know that budget we told you? You can't have any of it. So what did he say when he left? Administration has informed me that I can no longer have the tools that I need to compete at this level. So therefore, I'm resigning as head coach, and I'm going to go take an assistant's job at Louisville. And he's going to be making more money. And he's a really good coach. He was going to make Campbell a good program again. Thunder says college sports are starting to price their longest and strongest fans out, 100%. Is a championship trophy worth destroying our kids' futures, our heralded college legacies, and the future of the country when the inept generation we created grows up to become our leaders? So now Campbell's scrambling. I don't know if they've had preliminary discussions to get back into the Big South, but I've heard that is the desire of the new folks that are running the place down there. So the grass is not always greener in any way, shape, or form. And to have, we always talk about self-awareness, all right? How could anyone down at a place like Campbell, if you ever been there, it's a beautiful campus, but it's in Bowie's Creek, North Carolina. Have you heard of it? Probably not. You've probably heard of Dunn, North Carolina. So, for instance, whenever we played down there, Radford, we had to stay in Dunn and drive about half an hour, because that's the limit, to the game, to practice, to play the game. Why they ever thought from an administrative standpoint, and I heard it was all big-time donors, long-standing donors who were just falling into this football fetish, the dream of it, that kind of really pushed to leave the Big South again and go join a league that has better football. And nobody, they said they did the math, but clearly they didn't do it thoroughly enough. And I'm sitting there and I was watching Landman. See, this thing always comes back to what we start with. And you know those scenes, remember now that you've watched the first season, I have, don't spoil the second season for me. But you know, when John Hamm's character passes away, which is sad, I liked him. I guess he just had a 1-year deal. His boss, the oil company. And then he gets temporary, he's the president. The trust put him as the president. And he's breaking down all these things they have to do to make these wells hit. And he's got it at every level, explaining it to the upstart lawyer, the lady who's kind of been brash and a cutthroat. She has no clue about oil, but I'm thinking, he has this thing broken down to exactly what needs to happen. If it doesn't happen, why can't college athletics do the same thing? And I know it's just a show, right? And he's only reading the lines that he's told, but still, it was very well researched. That show is very well written. Wayne, Campbell's mascot is Gaylord the Campbell's, a fighting camel. So, yeah. And maybe it's all Gaylord's fault. It might all be Gaylord's fault. Now, this is not Gaylord, but there you go. That's Henry. You think maybe the lack of intimidation of their mascot may be the real root of all this? Oh, yeah, you might be a tiger or a wildcat or a bear, but you know what? Do you dare tangle with the might of a fighting camel? Because we will spit on you from 50 feet if necessary. I think that's what camels do, right? They spit. Yeah, they did. North Dakota State going to the Mountain West. They did. And that is primarily a function of their football program. Yep. They've been so good. And I guess they felt like they'd outkicked their competition so far, right? They're going to be a Division I football school. Yeah. Camels versus turkeys, war of wars. And they've played on the hardwood. Nothing says epic battle than turkeys and camels. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Yeah, I think a lot of people maybe that have a similar thought process, Prometheus, are going to wait and see how North Dakota State does in that league now that they're up, not necessarily with the big boys, but much bigger boys than they're used to. Me too. Me too. Can they keep the money going there? I don't know. Because now you're going to have to invest, while we have this current system in place, how many millions are they going to have to spend on their roster going from where they were to where they are now just to try to compete? It's going to be a lot. You're diving into a new world. We want to thank the NRB Super Bowl, 540-382-5525. It's going to be the spot when Morris comes back up here. We're going to look at this thing, hopefully late June. We'll let you know. 382-5525. Go check out all the work they've done to make that place kind of like an amusement park. It's awesome. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, James Lawson, 540-381-8011. He's been in business since 1997. Parts for your home, plumbing, doors, windows, plus installation. Go see James at 300 North Franklin Street here in Christiansburg. Sundown Electric, excellent reputation, long list of satisfied clients, superior craftsmanship, attention to detail, and clear communication. Reach out to the Smith brothers, and you will not be disappointed. Or you won't be disappointed if your organization, school, team, whatever it might be, church group, needs to raise some money quickly. ReadySetFund.com. Bob Chris, CRST11 at Gmail. Email Bob and ask him more about that program. It's terrific. Or if you have a garage door that's not functioning or you want a garage door put in, call Professional Door Incorporated, residential commercial garage doors in Dublin. Travis Williams, family owned and operated, 38 years in business, right across from New River Community College. Great people, and no one can come close to the quality of their work. My exclusive banking partner and the show's exclusive banking partner is National Bank, member FDIC. Reach out to them if you want to try a new bank. Our BDST fan question of the week brought to you by the attorney Ryan Price, 701 West Main Street in Radford, Trust and Estate Planning. Let's come up with another great question. Ryan, you had one if you're here. What was it, Ryan? Last week's we had 168 votes, the most we've ever had for the movie question, your favorite sports movie. Little River Heating and Air, Charles Lee, here in Christiansburg, 1095 Radford Street, 540-553-2971. Going to be hot for a while now. Make sure your air units are updated. You can't lose with Charles Lee. We are presented each and every day here on the program by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Reach out to Tim, Jonathan Sweet, find out what's going on. Pulaski County, follow them online, go to their website, bookmark it, and you'll be ready to go. Family Fencing is the sponsor of our studios here in Reiner. 540-200-8294. Get a free quote today. And Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic. He will straighten your body out, whatever might be wrong. Go see him over in Christiansburg, 155 Walters Drive. All this stuff is silly anymore, Anthony says. Northern Illinois left the MAC to join the Mountain West. Yeah, nothing screams mountains like DeKalb, Illinois. Right. Strictly for football. Correct. Let's see if leaving their footprint and rivalries that made sense, let's see if it makes any sense to them long term. See what their reports are in terms of revenue as opposed to what they spend on their roster to also be in the same situation as North Dakota State. More of a lateral move for them out of the MAC, but the MAC, and Will Stewart brought this up, has basically been destroyed with all the sacrifices they've made to play Tuesdays, Wednesdays. No crowd support, no fervor for the programs. When are they playing? Tuesday night. I've got 3 exams. What do you mean they're playing on Tuesday night? I've got papers due. Oh, because ESPN told them they needed to do that if they wanted to have any type of atmosphere on their network. Gotcha. Someone posted the other day the top 5 things that was wrong with sports. Current college sports, and ESPN came in first, and this thing had like hundreds of thousands of votes. You talk about not having any self-recognition, and that's why they're stomping their damn feet over the potential to go from 12 to 24 teams. I don't want to see a 24-team playoff just from a fan perspective, but if the coaches are saying they need one for money, ESPN's just going to have to sack up and get over it. They try to have a monopoly on everything, right? That's correct. Mesorecto. It's ESECPN, which is why the SEC is the only league so far that's not going ahead and made a verbal, yeah, we'd love a 24-team playoff, right? Because they don't want to upset their business partner. But at the same time, there's no way Greg Sankey, who wants a 24-team playoff, he was the one behind the extension of the NCAA tournament, but yet he doesn't want an extended playoff to try to get 6, 7 SEC teams in there every year. Come on. Coach Elmo going to join us here in a second. Prometheus asked, the question is, would you rather be at the top of a smaller league like Tech in the ACC, or should you move to a bigger conference like the SEC? If I'm Tech, I'm staying unless Miami, FSU, and Clemson leaves. And they are all going to leave. All 3 of those schools are going to leave. That's a great question, and it's something that the new leadership in Blacksburg will have to address. Joining us now on the program, and I'm sure he's glad that he's not part of this every day now. It's Coach Elmo. Coach, how are you? Is this the computer?
This is the computer, Rick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, congratulations. Congratulations. Awesome, man. We got you.
Well, I hope the picture's fine. I hope the microphone is working. That's the key.
Nice round of applause for Coach. Yeah, no, it looks good. Sounds good so far. So that's what
Can you hear me? Yeah. The biggest issue is the microphone. That was the biggest issue.
And you say the whole hard drive was completely shot?
Well, I don't know. I have no clue other than they told me it was, and then they called me back, and they went through all sorts of bells and whistles, and they said they found the problem getting it, quote, activated, at least from the microphone standpoint. And that was the biggest issue. So I hated to have a computer because I'm not using the computer camera. I like this camera that I bought.
Yeah, that's a good camera. Yeah.
Good picture and whatever. But as long as this microphone's working, I'm good.
No, you look great. You sound great, Coach. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, I've been going to the Rick Watson School of Sports, and I've been taking my notes diligently. So when Professor Watson gives me the pop quiz for the day, I'll be ready.
Well, we're just talking about all this stuff. I don't know.
Do you teach a class up in Radford? Do you teach?
I do not.
You should.
You think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate that, Coach. It means a lot coming from
You're
you.
welcome. No,
what do you think?
Saying, I got a little notepad here. I keep telling you, see these notes? Look at the notes.
I do.
In fact, this used to be full till I started your show, and I got to go get another one.
What do you think about all this, Coach? I'm talking about these examples, really, from schools that I know personally, the people there. I'm giving Campbell as an example because I know a lot about their inner workings and so forth. Former Big South school, but these schools, not the athletic departments, these schools are going out of business. When I was reading those numbers, I was shocked. Clemson's $2.9 billion in debt as a university. And maybe that's the norm across. Maybe it is. Maybe. But what do you think? I mean, the bottom's got to fall out sooner than later now. I mean, just seeing these numbers.
Yeah, it's eventually, you keep hearing people saying it's not going to be sustainable. Well, today it's sustainable for
right now.
A lot of players.
Right.
It is. Maybe not tomorrow for some, but right now, today, Ohio State and schools of that caliber, Georgia and Texas, and you haven't heard much coming from their camp. I'm sure they may have lost money too, but I doubt it. Where's the enrollments? It's kind of interesting. I think it's not a sports thing, but I think college enrollments, what's gone on with colleges and universities in the last 4 years has not been a lot of positive in terms of the worth of the degree and the money that you're going to be spending to purchase your degree per se. When it did mean a lot, where now, and especially in athletics, I think with all the online classes and things of that nature, like I said, when's the last time you ever heard of a player being declared ineligible academically?
Right.
Never. Not that I have. Maybe I've missed it, but what kids are listen, I transferred. I was a junior college player. In Ferrum, we had the same accreditation as a junior college as UVA and William & Mary is a Virginia accreditation. So, the course is transferred. The English course at Ferrum was transferred to Virginia or transferred to William & Mary. Not a problem. Now, you still lost credits. These kids that are transferring 2 and 3 years, don't tell me they're transferring every single credit they got to the university as they sit there and start declaring their majors. I'm not so keen on admissions, but I know I went through the transfer process and I had to go an extra semester to graduate. And back in the day, when you lost your eligibility, your scholarship was done. I had to beg the people in William & Mary, the admissions, to declare in-state student. I got a Virginia's driver's license. I planned ahead, knowing this was going to happen. So from in-state to out-of-state tuition, and I went there and sat there and literally was on my knees because so I could finish my degree. But those days are, I don't know. I still, the academic integrity, the athletic integrity, and not that the good old days were that good, but the way this is headed, it's a runaway freight train right now. And you think about it, each runaway train is the conductors right now are the conference commissioners, and you got the ESPN train and the Fox train and the CBS, which is really second string. Wouldn't call it a locomotive right now, but the two big locomotives are ESPN and Fox, run by who? The commissioners of the conference and the presidents of the conference. NCAA's got nothing to do with this. They got nothing. They got not a penny, Rick. Did you see the figures that the Big Ten made? Did you ever see those figures?
The distributor, was it distributed? Yeah.
It's not with a B.
Yeah.
Billions. Yeah. I don't know what, I can't quote you the numbers. I saw it. I didn't have a notepad to write this one down.
Yes.
But
between the schools, they shared like 1.4 billion just in revenue amongst their however many schools. What's in 16 teams now in the Big Ten?
I guess who they weren't sharing it with? The NCAA.
Right, because they're keeping the money. Right.
No, every money they make, negotiated TV contracts are directly through the conference. So you got conference commissioners and presidents chasing the money. And now we can go to, and this is all the fallout and the byproduct of the national championship. When it's all said and done, this is the fallout from, hey, we want a 4-game national championship. And that worked. Then it went to what, 12, 4 to 12? I don't know. You could tell me.
Yeah, 4 to 12.
Sudden, the 12 game worked. Instead of going to 16, hey, let's bypass, go right to 24. Because if you go to 16, it's going to go to 24. So what the hell? Let's just get it to 24.
Yeah, that's true.
Why not?
Yeah, it's not going to stop at 16. That's a great point. Yeah, it's not going to stop at 16.
So people say, 24 is too many. 16 was just right. Well, 16 was just right. But if as long as the TV people can sell the advertisements and they can make that money and distribute that, and you got the Big Ten giving each school whatever. What was that figure, Rick? What did each school get?
It was like 1.4 billion.
Northwestern got what?
How many teams?
1.7 billion.
Yeah, how many teams are there?
There's 16. Are there 16 Big Ten teams?
Yeah, I think so.
Because you got Southern Cal and UCLA, Washington and Oregon, Rutgers and Maryland. That's 2, 4, 6. So you got the Big Ten plus, Big 11, 17 teams should be.
Yeah, divide that. Yeah, that's a lot of extra revenue. I think that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point.
Guess what, Rick? Why would the Big Ten want to change anything? The commissioners are the presidents.
Because it's football run. Yeah.
Everybody. And then you got the Big Ten network. And here's the thing. Think about this, Rick, a little history. Remember this now. If you are a Power 5 team and you're going to go play Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, or Texas, you're going to command over $1 million to play that game and all your expenses paid. I remember when I was at Purdue, we had Kent State on the schedule and they dropped us because Alabama, this is back in 2003. That Kent State dropped us to play Alabama for 1 plus million dollars, which don't forget, back in that day, in those days, the $1.5 million, that pays a lot of bills.
Oh, absolutely it does. Yeah.
When all of a sudden I'm at UMass and we're playing Wisconsin, Michigan, and you can hold the Power 4 teams hostage. You want to win, you got to pay up. You offer me $1 million? Oh, no. At 1.5, I can go chase Texas for 1.5. So if you got a good president and a good AD, you don't prostitute yourself. You can literally go demand what you want in terms of your payment to the Power 4 team. Now, if you're a 1AA team, you can't command $1 million at all because you don't even count on their schedule towards their bowls. So when you look at the schools like Appy State, now North Dakota State, Old Dominion, JMU, all those teams that jumped from 1AA to 1A, well, why? Well, because of the money. There's no money to be made in 1AA football. That's not sustainable to a point.
Which is what I was talking about with Campbell. I mean,
exactly.
Why they thought
there's no money in 1AA football.
Yeah,
there is not. How are you making your money? Because if you're playing Campbell and you're 1AA, what Power 4 school is going to schedule you? And if they do, it's going to be 500,000, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, right.
Maybe
right.
to go get your brains kicked in. And that because the Power 4, that does not count on their 6-win bowl deal that you have to make a bowl team. You have to have 6 wins. 1AAs don't count.
Don't count.
You schedule.
Right.
But the 1As too. So let's go get a MAC. Let's go get a Mountain West. Let's go get a Sun Belt Conference USA team. And that way they count. It's competitive, and those schools can command over $1 million. Those schools basically get a bowl check, Rick. They get a bowl check. So that, and then you got your TV for these conferences, the Power 5 conferences. They're on TV. Look at the MAC, ESPN, MACtion, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So there's TV money to be had in the Power 5. And so when you look at those schools, JMU, ODU, Appy State, when they all jumped from 1AA to 1A, they say, hey, we can make money, we can be sustainable and go chase Power 4 money on the money games. So we can support our 20 sports. If it was just football and basketball, people wouldn't have an issue. But you got 20, somewhere between 18 to 25 other sports.
Right.
That the athletic department is supporting. And guess who's supporting the 20 sports? Give me a guess, Rick.
Yeah,
Come
one
on.
sport.
Give me the guess.
Just one, right?
And maybe basketball, but football is the, I'm going to go for Campbell. I'm going to go support all the other sports because I'm going to go schedule Carolina and get my brains kicked in but it's still not enough money. 1AA's, the money's not in 1AA football. It is in 1A football. If you want to make that jump in terms of bowls, TV, and Power 4 money with the money games.
And that's the problem, right, Coach? Because whatever money is raised, like for instance, Virginia Tech over 4 years going to get that 200 and whatever it is now, 70 million after you add everything up. But look at the percentage that's going to just one sport. Right. So all these other programs, hey, Tech's getting all this money. They're not going to see any of it, or they're not going to see much of it at all.
Well, you hope that the dividends get paid, that they can get into the playoffs, because remember this, look at Miami being in the playoffs. That's conference money. That's money distributed throughout the conference.
Right.
Okay. And usually, I don't know all the administrative parts of money distribution, but I know the money's distributed within it ain't going to the NCAA. It's going to the, and here's the other thing too, Rick. They can talk about all this money all they want. People, Virginia Tech's now on the same par as Florida State and Clemson. Is that correct? That's a statement I heard.
Yeah, that's what they're claiming. Yeah, right.
Went to the board and said, look, we've got to get on the Clemson Florida State train. Well, how did they do? Now Virginia Tech's got the money they got. Well, what did they do with their money? Clemson wins 8 games, 8 games, picked number 1 preseason, picked to go to the national championship game, and they had Florida State. That guy, I'll tell you what now, he's a 9 live captain.
He's in trouble. Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble.
I mean, he's been in trouble. You think about it, but
they didn't want to pay the buyout.
He's got some Mac Brown in him now. He got that administration of Florida State schmoozed and hey, maybe it's a Frank Beamer. Hey, we believe in the guy. We got the right guy.
It's got to be tough. He knows the only reason, Coach, he has a job is because they did not want to deal with the buyout this year. Think about that. He's got to sit around going, they don't want me here, but they couldn't get rid of me.
Well, hopefully somebody in the administration believes in him too. I mean, maybe But I mean, that's a maybe. That could be a stretch, Rick. That's just my little bit of optimism towards the guy, you know. But no, it's just it still comes back to commissioners, presidents chasing the TV money, and the TV money's there. So if I'm in the Big Ten or I'm in the SEC particularly, why do I want to change right now?
Oh, that's right. You know what? Prometheus is right. The ACC added their success. What a stupid policy. The success. Yeah. So Miami got to keep all their money. The success initiative that they had.
The ACC setup, right?
Yeah, they said that because of the success initiative's revenue model, the schools who are encouraged, right, they get to keep. They have an option, and they, obviously they're going to keep the money for themselves. So nobody else saw any of Miami's money. Ouch. Ouch. Nice job, Jim Phillips. Nice job, buddy.
Let me tell you, I got too many boxes checked on the negative side on their decisions. And let me start with the conference championship game. Let me just start there. Okay. That was a disaster. They were hoping maybe they could get, if Virginia wins, they could get two teams in, Virginia and Miami. But all of a sudden, they get Duke in the championship game that had no business being in there. None. I don't care. Miami should have been in there. Let them play Virginia. It's done. And then, okay, one of the two schools are going to the conference championship game, the championship. Okay, they're in the dance. All right. Then Duke beats Virginia. That just screwed the whole thing up.
Screwed the whole thing up. That's right.
I mean, a disaster.
Revenue. Wow. Jim Phillips makes 7 figures to make calls like that, too. So, in other words, the rest of the league doesn't even benefit. That's great.
No, that's what's sad. And that's the sad part. You're talking about the ACC just trying to play catch up. They're trying to play catch up.
Horrible leadership.
And yeah, it's a tortoise and a hare race right now, and they're so far behind. Easy to say, but like I said, I may be dead, Rick, but in 5 years, I just don't see basketball. What carried that conference for years. And the sad part is, I really believe the administration thought, hey, we got Carolina basketball, we got Duke basketball, we got the ACC basketball. That's our it's not our front porch, but it's a wraparound porch.
Yeah.
Okay. And the front of it's football, but it's still the whole thing's wrapped around with ACC basketball. And next thing you know, the money got so big. The money got so big for football, and the revenues that were coming in, and the eyeballs that were watching college football. And I mean, now basketball. Who cares? Who cares? Carolina. Hey, we got Carolina basketball. You need to have us in the SEC or the Big Ten. No, we don't. Not because of basketball. There'll still be an ACC basketball league.
Yeah,
it'll be like the Big East. I really believe it.
Yeah.
They will still have ACC basketball. I believe it. But as far as football, don't be shocked. I'm probably wrong, but I hate it when I'm right. Don't be shocked. UVA to the Big Ten and Virginia Tech to the Big 12.
Yeah, I think that's happening. I think
don't be shocked.
Louisville and Virginia Tech, I heard, are really high priorities for the Big 12.
They're working on it.
I think they're already working on it. Yeah.
No, trust me, there's back channels. And that I've always said the announcement that Virginia Tech's got all this money, I've never heard of. Why would you? I mean, one thing about Virginia, there's two things about Virginia right now that impresses me. One, the stability, like I've been saying for the last 3 years. Okay. And two, you don't hear crap coming out of their camp with the money. They got that one donor. They don't even know if he's alive. If he is alive, they don't know who he is. You don't hear anything. Nothing. They quietly went out and got 30 portal kids that won 11 games and put them in the championship game. Quietly. Very quietly. And that's how you want to run a program unless you're Ohio State. and Texas, because you're going to have enough noise as it is. Don't try to create it right now. And then, the other thing too, Rick, I'll say this, and I'll stop here with the money part of it. People think, here's the problem. They could have 24 games. They could have 50 games. It's still going to come down to Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Florida, maybe hopefully Southern Cal can knock it back into the park, because that's good, and Notre Dame. But Indiana kind of screws all that up. Well, what about Indiana? Well, let me tell you something about Indiana. They got a coach that knew what the hell he was doing, and the school made a commitment to the coach that knew what the hell they were doing. So that's how it worked. It was a perfect storm. And guess what? Well, could Purdue do it? Well, they ain't got Frank Signetti.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I don't know if they made that commitment or not. Indiana made a commitment. Don't forget, when Notre Dame had Jerry Faust as the coach, they were horrendous. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was, terrible coach. Yeah.
Horrendous. Then all of a sudden, and I've always been told this, when Notre Dame decides they want to be good again, they will be good again. And that's Notre Dame's decision. So every university's got to come to a crossroads. Okay? Virginia Tech came to a crossroads. It finally bottomed out. That it came to a crossroads. What are we doing? Virginia came to a crossroads, and guess what? Quietly, they turned that whole thing around with people are in shock. They turned it around because there was no publicity. There was
don't
nothing.
Hear a word. You still don't hear a word. You're right. You're right.
But Virginia Tech, they're out there. They got the band playing in front of the football team, and every announcement, it is a huge, huge deal to everything. How Franklin ties his shoes in the morning. It's like a big press conference.
Well, to clarify, Tech won't be leaving until the ACC breaks up, which is going to happen, like Coach is talking.
No. Yeah.
Miami, Clemson, Florida State, Virginia, and Carolina will all not be part of the ACC.
I think Florida State, look at the money. The problem, here's what I see it as an issue, Rick, and I don't know. Noah's KNOW, but here's my speculation or guess. People are they don't want to start cutting sports. They don't. Some have to. But there's no administrator wants to cut sports. They really don't.
No, they don't.
Okay?
They don't.
They don't, Rick. You know that. You work with your administration.
We've had to do it. Yeah. It's
the
worst.
Make some decisions.
It's the worst day of your life. That whole department. You don't survive that. You just for like a month, you're just a dark cloud hanging over you.
It's not good. It's not pretty. But here's the deal. Look at what the Big Ten is getting for within each university, that B word as opposed to the M word, or Miami keeps it all and doesn't share with anybody else because, you're trying to keep your sports. And, football's always been the revenue maker. Well, now football, because NIL is not just football. NIL is maybe baseball, maybe tennis, maybe whatever.
Yeah.
Girls softball, right? Some women sweat. Texas Tech, who paid millions of dollars for a softball pitcher, women's softball pitcher. So in order to sustain that, you got to really make the football commitment to chase the TV money. You got to go chase the TV money. You got to chase ESPN. ESPN's got to want you on TV. Like Virginia Tech used to be the Thursday night draw.
Yeah.
Thursday night. I was there in 1994, Thursday night versus West Virginia. Hell of a game. We beat their ass, and it was a hell of a game. Big stadium was full, and, when they never used to fill it, but when West Virginia came into town, it was full. And we were ranked number 12th in the country that 1984 when we played them. So that's that. Hey, I looked at the Bork kid, by the way. I saw one of your.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, people have been asking. Did you get a chance to look at him in depthly? You got a high school.
I did.
So is he worth all the hoopla? I mean, Tech fans are falling all over themselves.
He is. Well, first of all, being from Massachusetts, I can say this: it's a hockey state.
Massachusetts is a hockey state. That is true.
Hey, the three best players from my high school, and I was not one of them. I was probably the third best. I know for sure the third. The only way we got to college is through our high school custodian. But he plays at a very elite private school, Tabor Academy, which I'm very familiar with. And it's good football. They got a hell of a tight end, man. All of a sudden, he flashed in front of my eyes watching that. I don't know who he is, but I'd find out who that kid is. He's supposed to be 6'4", 220. I don't know. He's somewhere between 6'2" and 6'4". I think more to the 6'4" range. He's a competitive runner. He's not a great runner. He's gonna competitively get you a first down when he needs to do a first down, or when it's in the red zone. He's not going to run out of bounds. He'll cut back to go score a touchdown. That's what I saw in high school film. I think he's very accurate when he throws the football. The only issue I had with him, he's not an over-the-top guy. He's almost like a Phillip Rivers. Not Phillip Rivers is more of a sidearm guy, but this guy, that ball never goes. It's an ear hole. He drops his elbow and it's an ear hole. He can get a lot of knockdown passes in the college game, and not that that's going to change. He is 6'4", so that does help. But that's the only negative I saw. I think he's a good one-piece thrower. He's definitely a spread passing attack, which means, he's throwing up open guys with huge windows. They're open.
Does he play in a spread? Is he playing in a spread offense, Coach, at that private school?
Spread, not necessarily. He's not a spread guy. He's not Kyron Jones. He's not the kid. If I compared the boy from California, the Yoon, and this kid, I think Yoon's got a little more upside to him in terms of development, in terms of timing on the timing throws. Because when you get to that, from high school to college to NFL, those windows get smaller and smaller, and the protection gets less time. You have less time. The time gets less and less and less to get that ball off. The only thing I hate, like I always told you, if I had to do this for a living, and I had to evaluate a quarterback, at least be one part of the evaluation process. Give me all the 3rd and 7 to 11 throws versus man coverage. I want 4-man pressure man, 5-man pressure man, 6-man pressure mans on that down and distance of every throw he's made. I don't want to see no zones. I want to see man coverage with pressures, and then cover 2. That's another way of pressure coverage. Those 2 factors, that's how I'm going to evaluate my quarterback. See if he's worth a damn, because he's got to get the first down. And I don't want the coaching. I don't want the coaching to be a part of his creating the first down with draws and screens and quarterback runs. Crap. Put the ball down the football field. Give me a first down.
So you've evaluated both on their high school. I know you were raving about Hune, and I've heard Bud Foster was talking to me privately about Hune. In 3 years, let's just say for giggles, they're both still in Blacksburg. Who's the starting quarterback in Blacksburg in 3 years?
You know what? Who knows?
I mean, but if you had to guess between those two, let's say it came down to Hune, but it was one of the two. They're battling tooth and nail. Who do you think wins the battle?
Rick, it's just like Joe Tiller would never offer, and he had good quarterbacks at Purdue. Joe Tiller they had to come to the campus and throw for him. He had to see it. He had to make sure his quarterback coach saw it. So I have not seen him. I don't know what it's like. Especially in practice, they don't take the jerseys off them for sure. But now the fact that this kid committed to Virginia Tech with what Grunkmeyer's got, he's a 2028 kid, right? He's just a young pup. The kid at Carolina's a young pup. So it's going to be kind of interesting. Hey, you know what it says though sometimes? A lot of times, I remember when Brady was at Michigan, he was the number 6 or 5 quarterback on the depth chart. If you ever, the worst part about playing Michigan was the pregame. It was depressing because you saw 4 quarterbacks out there. Just they all looked the same to a point. That, they had a profile. They kept the profile, and so next thing you know, pregame they're going to look pretty good coming off the bus. They'll look pretty, and they'll be throwing those bombs down the field in pregame. And I remember whether it's Miami or Michigan, and I used to be the DB coach, and I'd sit there and go, it's going to be a long day. I hated pregame. I hated watching them in pregame because you're going to get your ass kicked. But I think the kid from California, I think Hume is a little more polished in terms of his timing. I think he's leaning more towards the West Coast talent. I need to see a game tape on him too. I need to see, the highlights. You're just going to see nothing but good. Yeah. So it's not fair. So to answer your question, I cannot, and nobody can. Now the key is how many are going to still be there?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Not many of them. I mean,
no way.
What money rating did you give Hugh? Remember you were giving out your dollar ratings, $3?
I gave Hugh at least 2 to 3.
What would you give Bork after watching him?
1 to 2. No more, no less. I give him 1 to 2. I liked him. He's a talent. He's 6'4", 220. Now here's the thing. The guy that recruited them for Penn State recruited them for Virginia Tech. They had to have had him in camp.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they've had him a long time. They've known him a long time. Yeah.
They've known this kid for an awful long time. And you know what? To the kid's credit, he goes, hey, screw you. I'm going. I'm not afraid of competition. I'm going to go in there and beat them all out. That's what you want. You want a guy that's going to sit there and go, all right, I'm number 4 on the depth chart. Guess what? I ain't the one going to be transferred. Not me.
And the money that Franklin offered him was not bad either. So
yeah, well, I mean, whatever. But you know what though? Here's the deal. You got to look at it this way too now in recruiting. All right, it's just like, okay, well maybe Georgia and all those teams said, he's not that much. He's not worth that much for me. I'm moving on. They probably had a set figure and they weren't going above it. And all of a sudden, Franklin, you know how it gets in that bidding war.
Oh yeah.
It's like an auction. And next thing you know,
Yep.
You go into an auction, Rick. You're going to have a certain figure.
It's like going to Sotheby's. Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, you're holding up your little paddle. No.
Yeah, that's it. Paddle. Where's the trash can? Paddle's going in the trash can. We got the whole nation to recruit a quarterback. I don't need to go to Massachusetts from Georgia to get my starting quarterback. I got enough in this state.
What's the competition level, Coach, at that private league that he played in, as opposed to the the state high school?
It's good. It's probably as competitive as any of the high school leagues in the state.
Okay.
Because you're looking at a hockey state. I mean, it's
It is.
Now the difference is today with all these kids, all these 7-on-7 passing leagues. These quarterbacks go all over the country and throw. They don't have to. They can go chase the warm weather, and they don't need spring ball. I'm sure Massachusetts now has spring football, which they never used to have. Never. Maybe they do. Maybe these private schools you can do it. And that's one other thing too, Rick. I'll say this. You look at the warm weather schools. You look at the South. Spring football was the development in Texas and the southern schools as opposed, to the northern schools is a huge difference. They get to play. Yeah. They get to play, and now I think people are starting to catch up to that because of the 7-on-7s. The spread offense has allowed the quarterback developments to go into a whole nother level. They all got their own quarterback coaches and teachers. That one guy in California, I don't know, can't remember his name, but there's not a quarter, or the Manning camp. We're all going to the Manning camp. Yeah. We're going out to California to see this quarterback whisperer. Can't remember his name, but I don't think there's a quarterback in the top 10 in high school that probably hasn't worked out for this guy, or this guy's not touched. I can't remember his name, but so when you're looking at quarterbacks today, you get a pretty good idea of what they could be because they're developed. They're developed. There's
a lot more
potential.
than they used to.
Yeah,
and they have to play so early, right? And they're playing a lot earlier.
If you ask me though, Rick, and I can do this now because it's a show. I'm not coaching anymore. If you'd ask me, I'm taking the Hune kid. Right now, I'm taking the Hune kid right now off of the high school tape. If I had a choice, I'm taking Hune. I think he's got a little more timing.
Bud Foster loves the Hune kid. I mean,
I'm telling you, Rick, he's going to be number 2.
Yeah.
I really believe he'll be number 2. I may be wrong, but that's the horse I'm going to bet on to be number 2. And
when I work out, get Coach on here, Coach Foster, I'm gonna ask him about. He's going to talk about trust me, he'll be glad to talk about the Hune kid.
Well, the biggest thing with Virginia Tech right now, the quarterback room and the tight end room, it's all getting all the publicity for the right reasons. But the 2 rooms, the 2 areas to me, and you're going to find out in a hurry in the first 3 games, is offensive line development and the defensive front 7.
That's exactly. Yep.
On stopping the run and being able to run and protecting the quarterback.
Did you notice, by the way? Yes, and I want to ask you, but I'm glad you brought that up, Coach, because I forgot, and I wanted to ask you last week. Remember when we were sitting there at the banquet at the dinner, and Bud got asked directly about the defense? I thought it was interesting the way he worded it. He said, certainly you look at them like you've talked about. They come off the bus now. I thought it was interesting the way he said he has to find now that the task is to find actual football players.
Yeah, I caught that one too.
I thought that was interesting. Now, he's not dissing anybody, but he's saying, yeah, they've got a lot of ability. But I think in what we can kind of read into that, and I'll ask him when he comes on, it didn't seem like he saw a lot of guys he thought were ready to come in and just turn that side of the ball around, right now anyway, which a lot of teams can say that too.
And just remember this. You don't want to play Bud Foster's all-defensive all-star team. Starting all, think about the great players that he had to be able to coach. Not necessarily they were great talents coming out of high school either, but that turned it into great players. From Cornell Brown all the way to the safety that played for the Seahawks. What was his name? He was a great player.
Cam Chancellor.
Yeah. I think so between Cornell Brown and Cam Chancellor, Bud's got a picture of what this thing's supposed to look like, and it's probably not even close still. Okay? Because I'll take that 93 Virginia Tech defensive team. We may lose a game, but one-on-one, we'll beat the living shit out of any one of those teams.
That's right.
I'm sorry. I'm a little prejudiced.
No, you're right.
But I will tell you one thing. Wow. You got to bring a gun to that fight. Because let me tell you, we had some people that just, what they went through practice-wise, they were not going to go out and lose a one-on-one battle.
No, they were mean.
And if you beat
best way possible,
if you beat J.C. Price, I'll promise you, you had to have a damn club and hit him over the head about 10 times.
That's what Dwight Vick said.
And maybe he'd go down. Yeah, you ask Dwight. Next time Dwight's on, you got to ask him, hey, that 93, 94 squad of cats we had, they're as tough as pine knots now. Trust me. We put them through. Hey, we had a 1960s practice into 1993. It was the junction. Trust me. We full padded every day, Rick. Monday through Thursday was full pads every day.
And they got unveiled. They got unveiled to the nation in that Sugar Bowl win against Texas. Here's Virginia Tech.
Watch out. Yeah, I mean, and that crew, that 95 crew, which is because that, because that 93, 94, we had a bunch of redshirt freshmen and redshirt sophomores on that team, the 93 team, that translated to seniors into 1995. And that, you know, that's how that thing went. But it was, hey, during the Independence Bowl practice, we were doing a middle drill right up to the last day of practice, you know, day before. Inside drill. And when we did inside drill, Bud will tell you, he'll tell you, the players will tell you, it was live. It was live.
It's great. The good old days. The good old days.
I don't know, but no, they weren't that good. Rick, this is why I do not take
they weren't that good.
Players, especially guys that made it in the league. Lawsuits, baby. You know, I would be thrown in jail. There's no doubt. I'd be barred from coaching in the NCAA. I would, and let me tell you what, Rick, I would not have played for me.
That's good stuff. Well, I know Coach Foster doesn't feel that way because you were kind of the impetus behind the whole thing getting on board. So yeah, that was
I showed him what not to do. That's why he learned. He's a whole lot smarter than I was, I promise you.
He is a smart dude. He is a smart
dude. He's great. I'll tell you he's doing a great job for Virginia Tech.
He is. He's perfect in that role, man. He is absolutely perfect in that role that he has now. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
Now it'll be, you know, again, too, it's going to be interesting. Virginia, it's so quiet up there. It is just so quiet up there.
I don't understand. It's just weird. I don't know what goes on in Charlottesville. You're right. It's just.
I tell you what went on. They won 11 games.
They won 11 games. They had their best year ever in the history of their program.
Ever.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
Ever. I love their D coordinator now. That's my guy. Brzezinski, he's my guy.
But that's a great point you make. You don't hear a word.
It's
just like, here's going to be our team. We do know they have the best offensive line on paper coming in, right? To the ACC. Right. That's one thing we have been told.
Well, they probably got as much experience if those kids were all because they did. Their offensive line took leaps and bounds of improvements because 2 years ago they were horrendous. They transformed their whole team. What they win 3 games to 11. They won 3 games the year before, didn't they? 3 or 4.
Right. Yeah.
To 11.
Which
that's
Tech,
pretty good.
And Tech could do that this year. Who knows? They could do the same thing. We don't know. I mean, it could happen.
Well, you know, again, everybody wants to be Indiana. They're all doing they're chasing Indiana.
Yeah.
But they better have Kurt Cignetti. Because don't forget, hey, if Kurt Cignetti was at Florida State, you going to bet against him?
No, and I think that's what he's still getting dissed, not intentionally, but everybody's now speculating. Hell, I've done it myself. Can Indiana at all think they can stay competitive like that? Because we're not considering maybe it was the guy who turned it around as opposed to all these different elements we're used to now or being told we have to have in place. Maybe it's just the guy. Maybe it's not necessarily having to have the infusion, and he's got it now with money. You know, I just saw they got like the number 1 cornerback still on the market for like whatever. I mean, but maybe it's the coach. Maybe actually doing your job means something.
Rick, it is. It is. You got the money. You better know how to spend it.
Right.
You better spend it on the right people. That's starting with your staff to your players. It's all trickle down, and it all starts at the top. What Nick Saban, it's not an accident that what he did. Don't forget Alabama. They had some bad years. Bad years.
They did.
And all of a sudden, he took that thing back over, and it was the rest is history. Yep. It is no accident because the relentless recruiting. And that's one thing about James Franklin. There's 2 things. James Franklin's got more of the personality and more of the bells and whistles in the state as opposed to Coach Elliott. But I'll tell you what Coach Elliott has had over the last 4 years, stability on his staff and consistency in the evaluation process. And the culmination turned into the greatest season Virginia has ever had, ever. I was on the team. We won 10 games.
Right.
That stood forever. We had 1 10-win season. Finally, and that was 1989. He finally gets an 11-win season and a conference championship game.
In his walk year. Either you win this year or you're going to be like Brent Pry. Yeah.
And I'll tip my hat off to Carla Williams and the administration and him that, it's just like Dave said, we got the right guy. Well, I got the right staff. I am not firing anybody. That to me, when Brent Pry fired those 3 coaches, I told you, he's next.
Yep.
I made that comment to Greg and you. He's next. That's when I started listening to your show and all that crap was going down, because I thought you had some good insights.
It was a coach every week. Yeah. Yep.
Went through 3 offensive line coaches. How are you going to have continuity in your evaluation and recruiting? How are you going to do it? You can't. You cannot. Unless you're Nick Saban. Nick Saban could get rid of his whole staff, coach a whole damn team, because he was the GM. He wanted that role. He embraced that role. There's a lot of head coaches don't want that role. You know why? It's hard. It's really hard to do what he did. It's hard. I couldn't do it.
Franklin seems like that. James Franklin seems like that. Like he's accepted the GM part. He seems to be very acclimated to that. Like it doesn't bother him at all.
Left him in recruiting. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Okay, but certain head coaches have that personality and embrace that responsibility as the general manager. They're my guys. They ain't yours. Because you could leave me or I could fire you. They're my guys. They're university's guys, not yours.
Yeah,
as an
right.
assistant.
Right.
You did not. Okay, you did the work. Like, Coach, I wish I could tell you who I signed at LSU. Okay, my job was don't screw it up. That was my job. Andrew Whitworth. Okay, 6'6", 300 pound out of West Monroe, the best prospect in the state. Do not screw it up.
And you didn't, because he played in the NFL.
And I did not. And he's in the Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame, and a great guy.
And a great guy. Yeah, he is a good guy. That's a heck of a discussion, Coach. I appreciate that, man. That's good. Good breakdown of Peter Bork. Good stuff, man.
Working, I'm back in business again.
Computer's up and working.
I got up at 4 o'clock this morning. I couldn't sleep.
Yeah, and I couldn't test. Did you get my test? We were gonna do the test, and then this whole thing's rebooting. I'm like, oh, for the love of, come on.
I'm on my 4th cup of coffee. I'm saying, Jesus.
I was like, come on.
It's killing me. It'll be interesting, Rick. It'll be the college football scene is when I heard about that Big Ten money and the distribution throughout the conference, and then as you said, that Miami gets to keep all the money, and none of the conference schools get a share.
Jeez,
Jesus. And I've said, you talk about 2 apples and oranges between the Big Ten, SEC, and the rest of them.
Yeah. Knee-jerk reactions, because of all the schools that were jumping, they decided, what did the ACC try to do? Let's bring in Cal and Stanford, and let's make sure that the team who actually does what they're supposed to do gets to keep the money, because we don't want them to potentially leave too. And it's not going to work long term, but boy, it's hurting the league short term.
Remember, when did Maryland jump out of the ACC? Was that 20 years ago? 15?
Yeah, at least. Yeah. Let's see.
Whatever. Remember when they left the ACC to the Big Ten? What are you doing? Because of what? Basketball. What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Whoever the administrator was at the University of Maryland.
12 years ago. Yep.
12 years ago. That really pushed that decision. And, like Dave Brain, you talk about getting into the Big East. That was huge. That was another perfect storm.
Yeah.
Besides keeping Frank, that he had everything to do with.
Oh, 100%.
And thank God the University. And you know what? And thank God the University of Miami was all for it. They wanted Virginia Tech in the Big East. Miami
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God. And they got in the Big East, and the rest was history. There'd be no Sugar Bowl if they weren't in the Big East. And we went to the Peach Bowl as an independent twice. So you can there's no Sugar Bowls or Orange Bowls if you're not in the Big East. And then the ACC, don't forget, Virginia didn't want Virginia Tech until the governor got involved. Said, hey, you see those cranes in those buildings being in Charlottesville? I'll take them down. You better vote to put their ass in. And that's fact.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
I knew George Allen, and I knew George Allen's brother Bruce was our punter at Richmond. So I knew George Allen, former governor. I know that's a fact. They can sit there all they want. UVA wanted nothing to do with them in the ACC. Trust me. Until the governor got involved.
Absolutely. Here's the reality of it. Yeah, whatever you think, don't worry about it. Here's the reality of it. Okay, we want you now.
I may be wrong on all this, but I think I'll throw 100 on it, and I think I'm pretty.
No,
I got a chance.
No, you're right, because Jim Weaver, who used to come on the show every week, used to talk about it all. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So, yeah.
It's all good, Rick. I appreciate it. A lot of fun.
Appreciate you, man. Glad you're up and running again, Coach.
Well, I just scared to death I'm getting fired from your show. That's all.
Still not fired, Coach.
But what Marty said, the insecurities of failure, I still got it, Rick.
Yeah, I don't know why, because everybody.
I don't know either. It's who I am. Can't help it.
I know. That's right. That's been the secret to all your success. I think the humility, self-awareness. Guess what? You have it. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Hey, sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Take care, brother. Thanks, man.
You too. Take care, Rick. That was
you
fun.
too, man. Good stuff. Yeah, it was fun. We'll see you next time, man. There you go. Coach Elmo here on the program. Great stuff. Great stuff. TBD, Jason. Yeah, I'm going to reach out again this week. We're going to try. I'm guessing maybe June. We'll figure it out. But, yeah, we'll work that out and let you guys know. We'll let everybody know. We're looking forward to that. Looking very, very forward to that. Great discussion there from Coach Elmo. I want to thank Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios. Get a free quote today, 540-200-8294. Todd Grantham going to join us here in just a little bit. We'll continue a lot of this conversation a little bit, see what he thinks. McClellan Chiropractic, sponsor of our chat room, which is always, other than our guests, the highlight for me is meeting every morning with you guys. And, well, what used to be gals. We've lost all of our gals in chat. Go see Mark, 155 Walters Drive. I don't think we're not bad dudes. I don't know where they've gone. Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment is the presenting sponsor of this program. Thanks to them, thanks to Tim, and thanks to Jonathan Sweet. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. Go reach out to Charles Lee today. BDST Fan Question of the Week brought to you by the attorney Ryan Pry, 701 West Main Street in Radford, Trust and Estate Planning. Go to the NRB Super Bowl. They've been part of the community for 25 years. 382-5525. Sundown Electric, the Smith Brothers down in Elliston. You won't find a negative review if you go to their site. Anything that they've done, honest, and they try to keep the prices down as much as possible. You never have to guess of the work that has to be done and what they're going to need to do it. ReadySetFund.com. That's Bob Christ, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. Your organization, school, event, church group, whatever it might be, to raise money, as the Floyd County softball team did, get $4,300 this year. Crazy. Professional Door Incorporated, residential commercial garage doors. Travis Williams up in Dublin. Great guy. Great business. 391-0788. 38 years, by the way, they've been in business. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of me and this program. Thanks to Larry Ramsey. Talked about my refinancing. You should go and, if you need to, just change banks. I was stressed out over that whole proposition, and it was one of the most stress-free things I've ever gone through. And Lawson's Mobile Home Supply since 1997. Give James a call at 300 North Franklin Street, Christiansburg, 540-381-8011. And thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel. Good stuff all the way around. Yeah, it was. That was great stuff. I mean, Coach has seen it all. He's dealt with all different types of administrations. He's seen the evolutions of player acquisitions and the way it is. It was really good stuff, man. I guess we need Spring back to even it out with all these defensive great. Yeah, go get Steiny back. Steiny's going to be part of the show going forward, being like he was. He's all in. We will. Good morning, Brian. The artist formerly known as a UPS driver. He's watching the show up in the garden planting cucumbers. Oh, that's cool. Good for you. Much deserved, brother. Congratulations. What I'm getting a lot of people, what's cool, I get a lot of separate things, either DM or on the professional or text line. A lot of people I don't want to say they use the term contribute. You're contributing by watching, being part, but you don't interact during the show. And people are telling me every morning they like to put it on their televisions, their big TVs. So in other words, they're watching the show like I'm a mega TV star, which we know is not the case. So that's cool. And Eddie, I'm not ignoring your question. It just came during the middle of Coach Elmo. No, I do not. Eddie asked, do you go back every day and watch your show, watch yourself? No, I've never been one. Not that I don't try to improve, and I'll make notes, and I have notes lists when I think about it, but I'm just saying I don't like to sit and watch myself. I don't like to sit and listen to myself, my own voice. I've never been that guy. Like today, the university wants me to voice this promotional piece they're doing for recruiting. And I appreciate it. I'm very happy they want me to do that, but I'm going to hate hearing myself on the playback. All right. Good luck, Jason. Hope it goes well. Keep us posted. Keep us posted, man. Hope it goes well for you. Yeah, let us know. Let us know. But in any event, great stuff from Coach Elmo. The great stuff continues now with this gentleman. He's the defensive coordinator of the UAB Blazers. He is Todd Grantham. What's up, Coach? Good morning.
What's up? What's up, buddy? Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you, man? We're getting down in the weeds with Coach Elmo this morning. He was great, as usual.
Yeah. Elmo will be up early, ready to roll.
Fired up and ready to go.
That's right.
So what's the latest? I always like to ask the latest. What's going on in Blazerland here this week?
Well, this is, our players are chomping at the bit to get back. I can tell because I've already gotten a text from a lot of guys. I made some developmental tapes, like for example, all the front guys that rush. I make the video guy take all their one-on-one rushes and put them in a locker so they can watch themselves, right? So I have everybody broken down. Because everybody's different in how they rush, just like a running back, how he runs the ball is different. So they can watch that. And then obviously I got the top NFL guys over the last 3 to 4 years and how they rush. So the players get to watch those, but everybody's wanting to watch themselves and what they need to do and all that. So I got text last week from a lot of guys on, hey, where's the lockers at in our Thundercloud system? So they're chomping at the bit. The players got to come back next. They start lifting mandatory next Tuesday. So that'll be, so they're kind of discretionary this week off still, and then they'll start that next week. We'll get rolling. And then from our standpoint, man, it's like I said, like Groundhog Day. The only thing that changes is our coaches, a lot of coaches have been out over the past 3 weeks. So every 10 days, me and the general manager and the director of personnel, we sit down and we kind of redo the board per se, because what happens is if you wait to the end, all of a sudden you got 4 weeks worth of guys, right? So after the first week, we kind of did it and we set the board. And then what I mean by the board is like we have guys stabled as like above the line or below the line. Well, above the line means, hey, man, this guy can help you win, right? Well, then once you get them above the line, do you feel like they're a starter or rotational guys? So how do you break those guys down that are above the line? Okay.
Yeah.
And then the guys that are below the line doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad players, but like if you can only take one guy or two guys at a position, I don't want to take a guy that I think is not as good as, say, these 5 guys up here. Does that make sense? So anyway, you kind of got to manage all of that. So the guys that are, quote, below the line, they're still categorized too as, next up, ready, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, this week, actually today, we're going to sit down and reset the board and look at some guys that one we found. Look at some guys that maybe were a little bit bigger or looked a little bit better than maybe we perceived. You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to have some guys that commit and now they're off the board. And we kind of put those guys in another category where we're not really going to recruit them, but we're going to keep our eye on them just from the standpoint of, one, you know, guys get dropped. Because what's happening is a lot of kids are committing early to secure a spot. Okay.
Not signing, but committing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a total difference. Just because people are signing now, are committing now, that doesn't mean anything. That just means you're the leader of the pack. It's always like I used to say, it's like a NASCAR race. All that means is you're in the lead and all these other ones are hunting you, right? So just because someone's committed, everyone else is still chasing them. At the same time, the team that committed them or to them, you know, they're going to always assess their abilities, right? Well, all of a sudden another guy that may be better comes available, or based upon injury or somebody leaving the portal, they may feel they have to take an older guy. And that all happens like in November, okay, like at the very end. So you don't want to lose sight of guys that maybe you liked. Like, for example, I had a defensive lineman that I'd actually been talking to since last year. And, you know, I kind of got to watch this because, you know, some schools will follow you on Twitter to see who you recruit. And then out of respect for you, knowing that, okay, this guy's a pretty good evaluator. So I had a defensive lineman that I had scheduled to come in June 4th, and we were his only visit. And I'm like, this is going to be a steal, right? Well, he posted it and added me. So my name, so it popped up UAB and all that. Well, the next day, Auburn offered the kid. Then the next day, Tennessee offered the kid. And then it was Arkansas, Ole Miss. So now the kid's got 5 SEC visits. Okay. So, I mean, that's going to happen. But that's the kind of guys you're looking for, because they do slip through the cracks. Okay. And we feel like we got a few of those now. And so anyway, that's what I'm going to do today, is kind of reset the board based upon the information our coaches have gathered, because it's like anything. It's all about taking the right guys, you know, and you got to be able to develop guys and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do that. And then obviously we'll continue our football stuff and opponents and things like that. And then, you know, some of the players are back in, so they're popping over to visit and, you know, visiting with them, what they've done the last 3 weeks, things like that. So and then actually we get to take a little bit of break on Friday. Well, it'll be Friday afternoon for Memorial Day. And then we don't have to be back in till the following Thursday. So we'll get a little bit of a break there. But then the following week starts camp, right? Which, being a college coach, June is the worst month ever. Like, whoever designed that lifestyle is an idiot. There's no other way to say it, because what happens is in the month of June, okay, is you have your players, which you get to work with, which is awesome. That's the fun part, right? You get to work with your guys, but you get to have camps, okay? You get to have, I think it's 9 camps throughout the month. How do you want to use them? Well, your camps can be evaluation camps. They can be youth camp, you know, for the community or whatever, but you have these camps. Okay. And you have 7-on-7 tournaments and things like that. So you're going to have that. So you got to work that. Then you have your players. Then you're going to have players coming in on unofficial visits throughout the week, which is good because you get to see guys. And then on the weekend, you have official visits. So that means Friday night through Sunday, you're entertaining prospects, you know, to come and commit to you now and sign in December. So all that happens the month of December. Because I remember when I was at Bama, I mean, we worked, I think it was 28 straight days the month of June. And it's just not healthy, but that's the way the rules are. And that's what you got to go by. So it's like anything. It's one of those, you just roll up your sleeves and go to work and do it. So anyway, the storm is coming. It'll start in June, and we'll get ready to roll.
You know, going back to that story you told about the post, do you think those other schools would have caught on to the kid at all had it not shown up?
I think here's what I think happens is
that's interesting.
No one wants to be the first guy, okay? Because like, for example, I've told this story before. I recruited John Gennard to the University of Louisville, okay? So John signed at Louisville, followed me to Florida. We were his only Division I offer out of high school. Okay, the kid just got traded to the Eagles. First, he was drafted by the Texans in the 4th round out of Florida. He signed with Minnesota like a 5-year deal, $75 million. Then he just signed another, I think, $100 million deal or something like that, $80 million guaranteed, something. I mean, the guy's, it's awesome. It's a great story, right? So, and my son Corbin was actually with me at the time. He was in high school. And so the kid comes by and I'm working the kid out, and my eyes are telling me this dude's got burst, this guy's got bend, he's got length. I'm like, all right, what's wrong? Like, why is nobody offering this guy? And he was in a small, it was called Hiram, Georgia. And, you know, like, what is wrong? Like, you know, nobody's offered this guy. Well, we ended up offering him, and he was one of those guys that, like, you know, Pruitt was his recruit, because Pruitt and I are, you know, friends, and Pruitt was at Georgia at the time. And he's like, he watched the guy. He goes, I just didn't see that, which, you know what? It's funny. There was a guy named Dom Anili when I was with the Indianapolis Colts, and he always talked about the draft and evaluating players. And he said, evaluating players is like Baskin Robbins. There's 32 flavors, and everybody got their own flavor. And he's really right. Like, everybody got a certain, you know, style or a certain thing they like about guys. And then that's the way it is. So anyway, John, we were his only offer, and we got him. So I think what happens a lot of times is until that first team takes that step, everybody's kind of like, I don't know. But then once the team takes it, it's like, okay, I can do it now. Well, they did it, I'll do it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that's kind of how that works. So yeah, there's people that'll follow your Twitter accounts to see who you post as they visit. And, you know, they'll make sure, one, they've probably already looked at them or have them ranked. But if they haven't, they're going to say, hey, where's this guy? Because that was a Dan Mullen deal. When I first went to Dan, you know, Dan recruited a lot of kids like that to Mississippi State. Like, if you went back and looked at the history of that school, a lot of guys that were no stars. And the reason they were no stars, they couldn't afford to go to camps. So if you don't go to camp and pay the entry fee, they don't rank you, right?
Right.
So a lot of guys would be like that. Well, Dan actually had guys that would be committed, but he did not want to post it until after signing day, because as he developed his reputation of finding those guys, people would follow their Twitter account and everything to see who they were following on Twitter, okay, and kind of look at that person's account to see, okay, you know, what is this guy about? And if the kid announced he was signing, all of a sudden these other offers in the SEC popped up. So it's one of those, you know, social media deals, but it does happen, and it's just a part of the game right now.
Is there any level of any recruiting that's influenced at all by what these sites decide to rank a kid? Or
not really. Well, not really. I think that a lot of times, well, to be honest, though, some coaches will say, well, and this is coaches too, which you got to be careful of, because like Nick had it add in guys' contracts that the more 5 stars you signed, like you got a bonus, right? So, you know, that can play two ways in the sense of because everybody's wanting to gather information, because these guys that rank guys, they can't watch all these guys, and most of them don't know football anyway, and there's not enough time in the day to rank. So what they're going to do is they're going to gather information from coaches. Okay, hey, this guy's a good player. This guy's so like when I was at Georgia, I would like a lot of those guys didn't like me because if I thought a guy was a really good player and didn't maybe have the offers, like I don't want to compete against all these guys.
That's right.
So why would I promote him? You know what I'm saying? I understand that it may look good on the front end to the fans and to everything that, okay, we got this guy, he's highly rated, whatever. But if you do that and you promote it and they publicize it, other people are going to come in. So Nick used to have a deal that, if you signed a 5-star guy, you ended up getting a bonus. Okay. And a lot of coaches will do that, based upon what they got. So then the coaches are tied in with evaluation guys. So in other words, hey, I'm giving you information on these guys. I need you to bump this guy to a 4-star. I need you to bump this guy to a 5-star. So like, for example, if you watch a lot of guys that'll get, they'll be recruited and they'll be 3 stars. And all of a sudden one of the, the top schools, a Notre Dame, a Florida, Alabama, whatever offers them, all of a sudden they go to a 4-star. Okay. And that's just the way the business works because, those sites are done by subscriptions. Okay. And they want to get the fans interested in this, in the service because it's just like another season for them. It's recruiting season. So you pay for the information I'm giving you. All of a sudden I'm giving you all this information on a guy that was in the backwoods that nobody knew about, and all of a sudden he jumps out to be a 4-star. Well, on my site, and you pay my subscription fee, you can find that information out. So that's how that business works. If you really go back and look, they've done a better job over the last probably 8 years of evaluating the right guys. Meaning, if you look at the NFL draft, first of all, there's more 3-stars that make it than 4-stars and 5-stars, but there are 4s and 5-stars that end up being good players that ended up having productive college careers and do get drafted. So that part of it's gotten a little bit better. But at the end of the day, it's still a business, and there's always an agenda by everybody involved to get the ranking where it needs to be.
How frequent of an occurrence is it to have a kid like has committed now, and then they got to play their senior year, and then they come in and then they're announcing, well, you know what, I'm going to back off of that commitment and reopen things. I read that a lot. Is that happening a lot?
Oh yeah, that happens. I mean, that's why you got to be careful. Like there are guys say that we liked that committed early to say an SEC school or ACC, whatever. And we well, you still keep them in a certain criteria and still rank, because as everything moves, things change. Meaning, hey, you could have a kid at that position, drop out, not in school no more. Whether it's he got kicked out, whether he decided to go in the portal himself, whether he decided to go to NFL, but he's no longer a part. And let's say you were planning on him being the start of the next year. Well, now all of a sudden you need to go to the portal. Okay. So that can happen. And then the other thing that can happen is all of a sudden a kid that maybe you had evaluated higher becomes available, and they're going to do that too, because you can only take so many guys and everything. So it does happen. You just got to be careful, and make sure you stay on top of everything. Most of that stuff will start happening at the end of fall, like in November and things like that.
So if you recruit a kid like that, the money that's agreed to, that doesn't become a thing until they
there's no money exchanged until
they get there.
Yeah. However, one of the things that Kirby kind of complained about a year or so ago was, people wanted money to visit. Okay. Like, hey, I want $5,000, $10,000 to visit. And this is way back before it was legal. When I first went to Florida, there was a kid, the guy said, Coach, he really likes Florida, but to visit, he's going to need $5,000. And he's like, if he doesn't come, we'll give you your money back. I'm like, yeah, what tree did you think I fell out of? Like, nah, we're good. Right. So move on down the road. Well, the kid went to an SEC school, and you didn't go to those other visits for free. You know what I mean? So that's been going on. And but there are some agencies that'll try to say, well, we'll visit, but we want like a $5,000 or $10,000 visit fee to get something up front, on that. But from the general contract per se that you're talking about, none of that money means anything till they sign and they're there. That's just an agreement, but it can be broken anytime by either party.
Wow. So people want money just to come. Hey, you want us to come check out your campus?
Yeah.
Give me 10 grand. But if we don't come, here you go. You can have it.
I'll give you your money back. I'm like, dude, okay, whatever.
Wow.
He had 5 visits. He had 5 visits that year, by the way. So figure that math out.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, it sounds really good though, to hearing how your guys are chomping. You talked about not recruiting players, but especially at a place at UAB, you got to have the right kind of players. Sounds like those kids are balling in, man. That's good news to hear.
Yeah, these guys really work hard. They've really bought in, and they're looking to develop themselves because they got aspirations and goals too. So, and I think it's like anything. It's okay. The month of May, spring ball was a little bit of a grind from that standpoint. We got after it. We worked pretty good, and then they get some time off. Well, this will really be week 4 for them, kind of off, right? So how much time do you need off? It's kind of like, I can only be at home so long. They're actually back now in town, lifting on their own and things like that. So they're kind of ready to get going again. You know what I mean? and everything. So like all of us were at that time. So anyway, it's a good thing. I really like our players. I think we got a good shot to surprise a lot of people. So we just got to keep working.
Yeah, well, that's good, man. I mean, and it can happen so frequently. We see it happening right throughout college football that somebody's not expected to be that whatever they are, and all of a sudden you just keep going and you look up and you're like, wow, look at the season they're having, right? It's
Well, first of all, there's no way to basically the rankings are done based upon perception of the way you were last year. Well, last year's team is not this year's team. And that's just part of it, that they got to rank them some way, somehow. But, for everyone that's a negative, you get a Florida State that was 13-1 or whatever they were. And then all of a sudden they have really 2 disastrous seasons, back to back and everything. So anyway, we just got to keep working and grinding, but there'll be some surprises throughout the college football area just because of the way the portal is and all that kind of stuff.
Going back to your NFL days, they just released the schedule, right? And everybody got all excited. Oh, this is the toughest percentage strength of a schedule as opposed to how much of that actually happened? Like, does it really matter? Like you just said, from one year to the next, the teams change so much, especially in pro football, right? Does that really even matter?
The only thing there is who are the quarterbacks you're facing, right? Because those don't change. Because generally speaking, the teams who are good, they got their quarterbacks per se. So even those are not exact, but that is the theory behind what they do. Is the better you did this year, you're not going to do as well, the following year, or it's going to be harder to repeat that because you have a harder schedule. Like, I don't see the Patriots being anywhere near as good as they were last year based upon the offseason they've had.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a great point. NFL, is the quarterback returning? Okay. Well, now we're going to look at, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. What kind of year did he have? Okay. Right.
Yeah. Right. All about the quarterback, man.
All about the quarterback. Yeah, especially in that league. But that's interesting. I got random questions I wanted to ask you about Patrick Mahomes. He got hurt, of course, with the ACL. They're saying he might be even ready for camp. I don't know how that works. A guy like that, do you see coming back from a serious injury? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. As a guy like Mahomes, what do you think? How do you think he bounces back from an injury like he had?
I think he'll be a guy that he doesn't need a lot of training camp. He needs work because now they have new receivers. So the work he really needs is not from a knowledge standpoint of the offense. The work he needs is the timing of the throws with the receivers he has. Because back when he had Tyreek Hill, say, running a deep over route or a vertical route at that speed, they had to get their timing down. Well, now he doesn't have that guy. I got a different guy, so I got to work on my timing. So I think the biggest thing that he would need is work on the timing of what they do in the passing game from that perspective. And I would see him as a guy that will probably play better as the season goes on, and that'll be their motive. Though is they'll be slow with him because they know the kind of player they have. They also know the value he has to their team, and they'll keep him out of harm's way as much as you can early in the year when he gets back, just to get his feet wet with their play calling per se. Now that doesn't mean he can't play break down and he won't do what he does, but at the same time, he'll know to get down or get out of bounds and those kind of things to protect himself. But I would see him as a guy that would move as he moves forward through the season. He'll end up playing a lot better, and he doesn't need a lot of. The biggest thing he needs is timing with the people he's going to play with. Yeah.
Hey, finally, before we let you go, Coach, Mark asks, so, Coach, does this mean the days in college sports of tampering are over?
I don't know. I mean, Ole Miss and the Clemson thing, that's been like crickets ever since supposedly that happened. I mean, what exactly is tampering? You know what I mean? So it's hard to say. I mean, I think that they're going to want to talk about it not being there, but I'm not sure that it ever can not be there based upon the rules and the situation we're in.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, great stuff, brother, as always, and we appreciate it, man. Good info.
Not a problem. You guys take care.
All right, man. Have a great week.
Later. You too,
man. Be good.
Bye-bye.
There you go.
Bye-bye.
There you go. Coach Grantham, defensive coordinator down at UAB. By the way, I got a lot of text messages on our professional door text line. Yeah, I did see the play, Tech baseball against Clemson, where the infield came up right around home plate on a slide. from a Clemson player, and I think he got hurt. Like, I've always said this, that I've never understood why the dirt portions of a baseball field or a softball field are plastic. I mean, I understand if you want to do the grass and you want to do all that, the mounds, the plastic mounds. I know guys have a hard time sometimes with their spikes getting caught in it. I know you make adjustments, but yeah, and it's, I've been reading a lot of things about torn up turf like that. I mean, they pulled a big chunk out of the home plate turf. I guess you guys saw it, especially if you followed Tech. It was a big controversy over the weekend. Very strange. The NFL Players Association, by the way, is now on it. And I'll talk with Coach Grantham about this next week. But they are really pushing to have grass instituted in every stadium. There was a massive percentage of players who said, we're tired of this. We want to be off the plastic. And I think what finally turned the tide was, again, something else. We talk about self-awareness. When these NFL stadiums who are going to be hosting the World Cup met with all the officials, and one of the criteria for this country was, we're not playing on plastic. We have to put dirt down, grass down in your stadium. Our guys do not play on that. I thought it was very, very interesting. And it feels like that, a lot of people ran with that. And they're now looking around at the leaders of the league. That's you, Roger Goodell, and all you billionaire owners. These other professional leagues, soccer is the world's most popular sport, demanding that their teams play on grass, and yet you're sending these guys, you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on out there on this plastic. We've seen the injury rates go up, the knees, the ankles, the Achilles, whatever it might be, and you've ignored it because, it's convenient and it's cheaper. Well, if these nations, if these organizations of soccer can afford to implement grass for the World Cup and fly it across the world to the United States, I would think a company like the NFL, who just what did they gross? 20-some billion? I would think you could probably afford the adjustment, to take care of the employees that really make your league into anything. Because without the players, you don't have a league. This just in. You grow up for the most part playing on grass. High schools are now going to this plastic. It's cheaper long term than a grounds crew, and it's just not as much hassle. Well, maybe the amount of hassle involved has been replaced by the fact that it's inevitable, that it's just not what you need to have football players in particular playing on. I think this is going to be a big sticking point going forward. I get tired of all these new stadiums. Look at Notre Dame. Go back to Notre Dame when we first visited there, not this most recent visit, but when we, being Radford basketball, and we had Carleek and Travis Fields, and we beat them. But there was talking to their administration. I mean, there was a big, big percentage of kickback. There were a lot of people, man, that were angry over putting plastic. I still don't know why they did it. It's Notre Dame. It looks terrible. It changes the whole atmosphere of Notre Dame Stadium. But in any event, a lot of these new college stadiums, a lot of these fields are transferring. Can you imagine the day that ever would come that Lane Stadium went to plastic? I know you wouldn't like it. Virginia Tech has one of the best programs. They have one of the best field development and grounds crews in the entire nation. People tap in, they visit Blacksburg. It makes sense, right? Being an agricultural school. It makes a lot of sense that they're experts in the field. I can't imagine they would ever attempt in any way, shape, or form to replace the wonderful, wonderful green grass at Worsham Field with that horrible plastic surface. It just takes so much away from the game. And it's kind of representation as something else that makes the sports not as enjoyable. the reality of when we go out in our backyard, young fans across the board, when you're playing backyard football, you're playing sandlot football on grass, in the mud, in the dirt, get grass in your helmet, all the grass stain all over your uniforms, right? And now you watch these games in the fourth quarter, nobody's uniform looks like they've done anything because they've been playing on plastic. It completely and utterly makes everything 100% just 100% artificial. Imagine that. Artificial. Get it? See what I did there? Artificial. Any event, great stuff today. Appreciate everybody. Great chat. Thanks to Coach Elmo, Coach Grantham. I hope everybody gets through their Monday. It's going to be a hot one here today. Sunshine and heat. I'll never complain. It's fine. Just fine. Don't give me this 50-degree Thursdays like we had in May last week. I think it was 50 degrees. Woke up to 40 degrees, if I'm not mistaken. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. And thanks to you, those in chat, and those of you on the text line. Good discussion today. Please subscribe, like, and share. Please make sure you like every day. Like, go and like the video if you go back. They're now keeping track of that a lot. So that would be wonderful as well if you do that. All right, everybody, enjoy your Monday as much as you can. Yeah, I know. And we will be back and see you tomorrow on the Tuesday edition. Be good, everybody. Take care.